This is an absolutely ridiculous time to be streaming. There. We got the hard part out of the way first. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, a.k.a. MultimediaJay, 349 at the Geek House. And I'm not happy. Tonight should have been an incredibly easy night. We should have been done early without batting an eye. I should have been able to come home and it would still be 11:11, and I could have gone live with Elder Scrolls Skyrim Special Edition and talked about how Skyrim is a 10-year-old game now. That's one of the big things that's going on right now. It's one of the big things people are talking about. And it should have been pretty easy for me to do that. 11:11, come home, fire everything up. I did buy Skyrim and play it on 11/11/11. There's no reason why I shouldn't have been able to come home and stuff. But the 9-to-5ers are becoming professionals at wrenching defeat from the jaws of victory. There's a bit of an issue going on with these folks right now. The manager of the team I'm on, we talked about this a little last time, has a breakthrough infection of COVID from what I understand. There's no official confirmation of that because companies misinterpret HIPAA to use that as an excuse to not tell the truth to their own employees about COVID entering the workplace. But this guy would not, under normal circumstances, randomly decide to take weeks off at a time that weren't planned vacations. So the fact that he's been out as long as he has just tells me it's most likely a breakthrough infection. So in his absence, the supervisors that are running the place are Dunning-Krugering all over the place. They're basically the Dunning-Kruger brothers. They're basically giving some hard evidence as to why they haven't been promoted. So, some really, really stupid and undisciplined moves. Some of it creating safety issues that slow everybody down because people don't want to be involved in a safety incident on the job, especially when you're talking about a warehouse environment with heavy equipment. So it's one of those things where if the cat's away, the mice play. Manager's out of the building, so of course the response is when supervisors can act all uppity and call the shots because the boss is gone for them to do so. But all they're doing is outing just how they should stay right where they are and not get promoted. And I understand we've lost people with cocky attitudes that thought they deserved more than the position they had, but they didn't put in the work, and they certainly had behavioral issues and whatnot, and there were things about them that made it make all the sense in the world that they were in the position that they were in. So, yeah, I am very disappointed by how tonight went, and very disappointed that I'm having one of those like desperate overtime streams where I'm, coming online close to 4 a.m. my time to do what? Talk for an hour until I start hearing noise outside and have to shut down because all the day shift people are going off to work on a Friday. It's just terrible, terrible way to end the week. And so I figured, since everything was so garbage tonight, let's round out the nonsense with more on YouTube removing dislikes. Keep in mind that title is not correct, but the quotation marks are there for a reason. As I figured, there are people out there who are like, oh yeah, removing dislikes, YouTube's removing dislikes, which is factually wrong. That is misinformation. YouTube is privating the dislike count. And YouTube has already been making progression away from systems where human beings can still game the system towards systems that are run entirely by AI, ML, and algorithms. We've gone over this. We've gone over a lot of things. And in today's environment, YouTube is actually telling people to dislike stuff because the like and dislike button are moving into new roles, essentially, as algorithm tuning buttons. So, much like when you use a music service like Pandora and you have a like-dislike button to tell the system what songs you want to hear more of and what songs you want to hear less of, and I believe on Pandora and other services is don't play this song again when you hit the dislike button. When you use these systems, you are sending human feedback to augment the computer trying to figure you out. The problem is, and the reason why I support this change to remove the dislike counts is because, and actually, you know what? I would even go so far as to say YouTube should remove the like counts too. Literally just make it a thumbs up, down voting thing. Let the creator see it, but don't let the public see it. Likes too. Because if YouTube wants to be consistent with turning likes and dislikes into something that only influences individual creators or individual YouTube viewers' recommendations, then they need to eliminate the public aspect of it looking like some kind of voting system. But before we even get to any intelligent discussion on the matter, more on quote-unquote YouTube removing dislikes. I'm basically copying what people are blabbering about on Twitter, even though it's factually wrong. And I want to basically talk more about why it is factually wrong and show some examples of some things. And we might as well get some things ready to put on screen here. Beginning with, of course, the tweets. The tweets that I did earlier where, get ready to link up Chrome here. I want to get that Statista thing on the screen. See, is there any kinds of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? Yeah, there's responses to discussions of Asmongold. So there isn't really a lot of hatred with my support of this move this time like there was last time. I think it's because a lot of the people realize the jig is up and, you know, YouTube is doing this, so it's not like some giant fight to keep, you know, YouTube from doing this. It's going to happen now. YouTube has decided to roll it out. All right, I got Statista lighting me up like the 4th of July. So we'll put that on screen. We'll put that on screen shortly here. But here's the thing. Usual rules apply. Moron sounds like moron. So the question you have to ask yourself is, who are the morons? And I think tonight's discussion is incredibly easy. The morons are the people, A, who are accusing YouTube of removing dislikes, and B, the morons are people who are letting others jack their emotions up to the point where they go brainlessly repeating what other people told them instead of thinking about any of it or trying to become educated in literally any of it. It's literally mindless repetition, just like it is with people that hate the COVID vaccines. Same 6 or 7 talking points. People are saying the same things over and over again. I can show you one person's tweet or I can show you another person's tweet. It's all going to start blending together because everybody's saying the same things over and over again. And in doing so, they're exposing their ignorance. Like, YouTube with no dislikes is going to become a scammer platform. Even as spam, scams, and deceptive content is the most common thing that I see people losing their channels over. And they jump on Twitter and they go to Team YouTube and they're like, I didn't break this policy. And YouTube says, after careful consideration, we have concluded that yes, you did break that policy and your channel will correctly remain terminated. So I even made a Twitter query for it. Keeps an eye on, you know, people complaining about this, or should I say Team YouTube responding to people who had their channels terminated for spam, scams, and deceptive content. It is hands down the thing I see people go like, hey, I lost my channel. I see that the most. And don't forget, this is the internet we're talking about. We're talking about the low-hanging fruit in the matter. The low-hanging fruit. So those are only the people that complain on the internet. We don't see the people who respond to the termination emails or something else, or have some other way of having this argument with YouTube. We don't see those people. We see the people that are actually making a big stink out of it. And as we know, the internet is very good at creating vocal minorities. So, small group of people trying to make itself look bigger than it actually is. So yeah, there's plenty of moron nonsense to be found here with the uproar about the dislike button. But I'll just tell you right now, based on experience, many years experience with people trolling my own channel, it's like flipping a switch. It's like someone turning a faucet on and off. You're not going to be able to get away from this dislike thing for a certain amount of time. And then it's going to be like someone flips a switch. And you can try and pick fights about this, and you won't be able to do so. It's just the trolling and the hatred and the venom is going to get shut off. And this thing's going to die. That's the way it is with these things. It looks like it'll never go away. And then in a couple of days, usually weeks tops, it's gone. So, YouTube, yeah. So we spent last night learning about the half-assery and why YouTube is doing what it is they're doing with the half-assery. And one of the things that we actually saw YouTube doing was encouraging people to dislike videos. Not directly encouraging people to dislike videos, but YouTube was encouraging people using YouTube Music to dislike songs in order to tune their recommendations to hear less of certain songs. Now, what are songs in YouTube Music? Yeah, if you've ever seen the topic videos on YouTube, which is basically a video of it's basically a video of a music track with the cover art as the graphical part of it, and it's generated by YouTube when stuff is fed into Content ID. It's the sort of thing you would see if you were watching like a cable music channel on like a cable package or something. So there's you have like a picture and the music plays, then it goes on to the next one, drinks at the ready. So you have these kinds of things going on, and of course YouTube Music, I imagine, runs pretty similarly because YouTube has all of these existing videos of songs with no graphics to them that they can play as part of a music player, and it would be like listening to stuff through an MP3 player, except it's through the YouTube Music to see how this works, to see this in action. But I believe, I've looked at this before, just like with YouTube Gaming being like YouTube's answer to Twitch over the years, and the interface is now buried, and you have to go through the tabs and everything. YouTube Music is pretty much a YouTube answer to something like Spotify. You go there and there's like a directory of songs and stuff like that. Actually, if I mute the site, I could actually do that with, let me just open up Firefox right now, and let me see if I can open YouTube Music. Music.youtube.com should be the way to get to it, and we'll just mute the tab. All right, so I'm on music.youtube. Actually, no. You know what I can do with this? Let me put this into browser mode here. I don't need to mute this if I go to Stream Beats by Harris Heller. Web browser. Link this up to YouTube Music in Firefox. So I got a couple of folks, DMX, Queen, Anna Yvette. These are all folks that I've talked about in YouTube videos and stuff like that, but we're going to go to Stream Beats by Harris Heller because I know there's some topic videos in there. So I have Shuffle and Radio. Let me see here. This is Stream Beats by Harris Heller. This is actually music that you're cleared to use in your stuff here. But let me just go to Shuffle and see what it plays.
We're here to help those that need.
Oh, yay, Eversource. Woohoo! Shut up, Eversource. I don't need to hear any more of your nonsense with how you're crying about how the natural gas is going to be more expensive this winter. Your heating bill is going to go. Shut up. All right, let me just load this. This is Ambient Gold by Harris Heller. Let me turn this sound back on. Unmute. Which feels like... We got something else in that. Feels like winning. All right, let me just see this here. Browser mode. We're actually going to see... This is called Feels Like Winning, Stream Beats by Harris Heller. So, here's YouTube Music. I have a like button and a dislike button. Does this look familiar? Yeah, well, this is something you'd get if you were using Pandora. Ow! How loud was that? That was very loud. How loud was that? That was very loud in my headset. Oh yeah, it's cranked all the way. Let's put it at like this. I recognize it because it's from the Chiptunes. I recognize it because it's from the Chiptunes thing. Yeah, there we go. That's from the Chiptunes album. So, let me see here. If I make this full screen, now it's basically showing a picture. Music.youtube.com/watch is the URL. What happens if I change it to www.youtube.com and keep it the same? There it is. Bam! I've left the YouTube Music interface and I've gone to Stream Beats by Harris Heller. Comments are turned off. I don't know if that is actually Harris Heller that is actually doing this. I don't know if that's Harris Heller that's actually doing this. I think it might be a default thing because these topic videos, Stream Beats by, because these generic, or should I say auto-generated videos and stuff like that. Where is it? Provide YouTube by DistroKid, auto-generated by YouTube. There it is. And literally I can go to any one of these. Let me go to Pixel Lounge. I liked that one. Yeah, so here's Pixel Lounge. Way too loud. here's Pixel Lounge, which is from the Chiptunes album. I basically have all of I basically have all of these Stream Beats things here. Now, let me actually change the URL again and switch over to music.youtube.com and see if it works in reverse. So the same metadata, but if I change the URL over to music.youtube.com, do this. It switches over to YouTube Music. So you see what we have here? Do we have any lyrics? Of course not. It's an instrumental. But there we go. So basically, you have YouTube with a music client that piggybacks off of these auto-generated picture-only videos on YouTube, quote unquote. So YouTube Music, YouTube is actually telling people to dislike songs that they don't want to hear as much of. That way it'll tune their recommendations. So if I dislike this, I'm basically doing something similar to hitting the dislike button on Pandora, although dislike on Pandora is me saying don't play this again or something like that. But this feeds the algorithm my own direct feedback without the computer having to guess, so that if I play a random playlist on here, then the way it would work is YouTube would try and guess what music I want to listen to, and I'd enjoy it more, as opposed to something completely random that might include stuff that I'm not really all that interested in, or maybe some tracks I don't really jive very well with. But here it is. This is the algorithm use. Let's see, Pixel Lounge, yeah. Yes, the like-dislike is showing up in there. I have my web browser cropped to look more like a feature here. But this is it right here. This is the like and dislike button as an algorithm feature. And so, if I dislike this Stream Beats song, if I click dislike, got it. We'll tune your recommendations. And I just got bounced over to something else. Let me go back to Pixel Lounge and turn off the dislike, as I actually really like Pixel Lounge. If I click like, add it to your likes. So, as we see here, just because this is an intelligent use of the dislike button. However, if there's a bunch of, what this means is that your dislike count now means less than it did if you're a musician, because people who start using the dislike button for its algorithmic purposes don't really care about personally insulting you. They only care about getting YouTube systems to show them the right stuff. So this is an intelligent use for the dislike button that is perfectly legitimate and perfectly in line with what YouTube is doing, and even more in line with what YouTube is telling people. Let me actually switch over to Chrome, which I don't have linked to my screen. I have to do it for Statista later on here. But I actually made a Twitter query that actually keeps an eye on every single time Team YouTube gives people that response regarding disliking songs, which is YouTube officially telling people to dislike videos. We know that what YouTube Music is showing is something that is, it's basically floating on top of the YouTube system. It's an interface. YouTube Music is an interface for a subset of videos on YouTube that are basically put a picture on the screen and play a song. So it's like the YouTube answer to the old MultimediaJay radio style. Now, here I was worrying if I'd get banned back in 2009 for making a picture with the commentary and stuff, until I started seeing YouTube doing it officially, and I was like, well, there ends that concern right there. No, I did actually make stuff that was meant to be listened to rather than watched, and so did a lot of other people. I was just more honest about it, whereas other people were like, well, this is less of a visual video, something like that. But here we go. I'm actually going to read off. These are tweets from Team YouTube going back to January 2020. So they don't say this very often. But thanks to this query, I can just keep an eye on and see if they ever say it again. I also have one for their responses to the whole dislike fiasco, keeping an eye on them being internet firefighters, dealing with all the flaming going on the internet about their decision here. Let's see this. You can dislike songs to prevent them from being recommended. Go back to, that's October 22nd. Go to June 12th. You can dislike songs and videos to influence your recommendations. Let's see, June 2nd. You can dislike songs you prefer not to listen to. November 13th. You can dislike songs or videos to influence your recommendations. And January 10th, 2020, actually goes back to the 3rd of January. You can dislike songs or videos to influence your recommendations. So, let's see here. And then last one that it picks up is from January 2020. You can dislike songs and videos to influence your recommendations. So this is YouTube encouraging people to click the dislike button. Is that because YouTube has some kind of personal issue with certain musical artists or creators, or there's some kind of brigading or whatnot to get them, not listened to on YouTube because you want to make them look bad by flooding them with dislikes? No. This is YouTube recasting likes and dislikes as an algorithm feature, as a way for you yourself to tell the algorithm whether you like something or don't like something, so the computers don't have to. They don't have to guess. And the AI and the ML doesn't have to wonder about this kind of stuff. But the important thing that matters here is YouTube is telling people to dislike stuff. Like, yeah, you can dislike songs that you don't want to hear. So it makes all the sense in the world that the dislike counters would be made private to the creator. But even the number that's private to the creator is now something you can very safely second guess. So if I'm a musician and stuff's going around YouTube Music, the dislikes I get don't necessarily mean that somebody actually dislikes my song. It only means that people, maybe they don't want to hear it as much, or it's not to their tastes or something like that. But it's not a personal insult. It's just people using a feature. So it's not something that I should really give a darn about or take personally. And this gets to something I said yesterday that is pretty darn accurate. One of the top, if not the number one problem on YouTube is people taking technical issues personally. I mean, if you get haters and trolls, who cares? But when you have likes and dislikes being given legitimate uses in the algorithm to tune your own personal recommendations, and the new scope of likes and dislikes is you talking to YouTube systems, not you talking to another creator. That completely changes things. So when you talk about we need to protect small creators because of issues with self-esteem or mental health because of their videos getting disliked, we're not talking about protecting smaller creators. We're talking about protecting inexperienced creators who haven't figured this out or haven't learned this yet, or haven't learned why the like and dislike systems are, if they're not being gamed, they're rendered moot and irrelevant because of this stuff. That's what the real issue is here. Now, we mentioned Skyrim earlier and how Skyrim is a 10-year-old game. If you side with the Empire in the Skyrim Civil War, one of the things that you'll run into is the Imperial generals talking about, yeah, it's not great that the White Gold Concordat between the Imperial Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion forced Talos worship to be banned. It's not good that that happened, but there's a war gearing up between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion. And basically the Empire has to lie low until they're strong enough to take on the Dominion. So there's this whole, the world is gray. Things aren't as black and white as we think. There's this whole issue with, though, the world isn't as black and white as we think it is, and things are not as cut and dry as we think it is. And I think some of this applies to the situation that YouTube is in right now. A couple of years ago, you could talk about YouTube as this monopoly platform that can basically do whatever they want. And a lot of us, myself included, were yearning for this YouTube competitor that we wished would exist to come along and change things. Well, YouTube has competition in various areas, and in some areas they're not really dominant. So streaming, for example, they're up against Twitch. Twitch is more established in streaming and has way more critical mass than YouTube does on the streaming front. And on short form, TikTok is way more established. But really, if you look at the landscape of social media right now, it will remind you of that part of Skyrim where you got to balance out your feelings about Talos worship with, the potential war with the Aldmeri Dominion. Let's see. If I link this up into browser mode, will it link up to Chrome automatically? Well, we'll make sure of that by minimizing live control room. There we go. I don't want it to show Firefox. The YouTube music thing is done. Here is Statista circa July of 2021. This is the most popular social networks worldwide. I could always put this on the screen, but there's the person that crunched the data has his email on there, so I was like, nah, let's take a screenshot of it. Plus, I can access it straight from my Twitter without worrying about some intrusive ad coming over the side or something like that, like you see on a lot of websites these days. But this is the social media landscape right here. Give me a pointer. This is the social media. Whoops. Let's bounce that back open. This is the social media. This darn mechanical keyboard, I tell you. What was underneath that anyways? I just had the good morning tweet and stuff like that and gave me some people to follow. And hey, Taylor Swift is re-recording her albums. Wow. Stuff I'm not going to give a darn about. But here's the social media landscape right here. So, and don't forget, this is a little deceptive because there are some major platforms that are broken up because of their business units. Facebook and Facebook Messenger, for example. So this is in millions. The most popular social networks worldwide as of July of 2021. Now, notice who you don't see in this picture. You don't see Twitch. Twitch is too small. This is me expanding it as far as it'll go, but Twitch does not make the list anywhere close to this. So people may think I'm kind of arrogant because I disagree with this idea that YouTube will do anything because of Twitch. I'm not stuck up or anything to believe that YouTube is going to do stuff based on anything that Twitch does. Twitch does not even ping on this radar. They are a niche gaming platform. They've been trying to expand into expansion categories, but by and large, Twitch as a subsidiary of Amazon is way smaller than YouTube as a subsidiary of Google. Niche streaming platform, which live streaming is niche in and of itself, doesn't hold a candle to a general purpose video platform that's been expanding into the forms of video content and some other kinds of content as well that are not as well represented on the platform. And some of, as we can see, Facebook's the biggest. Some of what you see with YouTube looks like them getting ready for a showdown with Facebook. Because we know that Facebook, people talk about YouTube having problems with their UI. Facebook has the biggest design problems out of every major platform out there because they have a combination of a legacy program, a legacy service that goes all the way back to the MySpace era, personal e-shrine, a generic personal web page of sorts. You have updates and pictures and you get to talk about yourself and whatnot. And you have your real name and it's largely for family and friends, doesn't need to be public facing. You don't need to become an influencer like it's Instagram. As opposed to, if Facebook ever decided to get serious with their omni-media presence, they would be a force to be reckoned with. If Facebook decided to forego some of the privacy concerns of using your real name and decide to become a full-blown YouTube competitor, we would have an online media platform that allows that has very robust support of text updates like Twitter, picture updates like your favorite picture site that even allows you to put things in albums. So text and pictures, videos like on YouTube, streams like on Twitch. And it could always expand in short form with their video division. Facebook Watch versus, and Facebook Live, Facebook Gaming, the whole 9 yards, a very robust catalog. If Facebook ever got over some of the real names things and they started transitioning towards something resembling YouTube or Instagram or Twitch or something like that, they'd be a force to be reckoned with. Right now, a lot of the intimidation, if it exists, I mean, some people are really stupid on Facebook, despite having their real name, where they live and where they work, and their mouse over info publicly visible on their profiles. But if Facebook ever became more like YouTube and stuff, they'd be a force to be reckoned with, because they would have a wider portfolio of stuff you could get involved with. And they could algorithmically link it all together. Yeah, you could still have presences on other platforms like you're often encouraged to do, but your Facebook would be a very robust one-stop shop for people to just catch up on what you're doing, no matter what it is. YouTube is the runner-up in this chart, and YouTube actually is chasing after Facebook with some of the changes, obviously chasing after Facebook, with some of the changes to the community tab. Community tabs used to be whoop-de-doo, an updates thing on YouTube. What do I need this for? Now it ties in with text updates for your fans, polls, and also the ability to do pictures. And recently it's been upgraded to allow for up to 5 pictures or so, or whatever it is. And the threshold you need to pass in order to have a community tab is dropped. I think it's down to around like 600 subs nowadays or something, as opposed to 1,000. Why would YouTube do this? YouTube's a video platform. Why would they invest in other forms of creators giving their audience updates? Because their competitor, Facebook, already allows this. And the Facebook version of that is way more mature and way more standardized. But yeah, this is the pecking order right here. Now, how about we talk about the elephant in the room here? Facebook doesn't have a dislike button. Biggest social media platform in the world. No dislike button. YouTube, click, there we go, give my pointer back. Facebook, biggest social media platform in the world, made artificially smaller here because Facebook Messenger is split off. Right. No dislike button. There's the angry button, which is kind of the closest that Facebook has ever come to a system that rewards negative behavior. But aside from the angry button, Facebook doesn't have a dislike thing. YouTube, the anomaly, with a dislike button that was abused. And, people could maliciously gang up on someone. WhatsApp, messaging app. I think it has like a star for liking stuff or whatnot. Instagram. But yeah, no dislike button. Instagram, heart button, no dislike functions. Facebook Messenger is Facebook, no dislike thing. WeChat, I went looking for some screenshots of WeChat. There's a star button on there for liking something or something like that, or whatever it is. Didn't see anything resembling a dislike button. TikTok, hearts only, dislike, no dislike button. Douyin is China, the China version of TikTok, or should I say TikTok is the international non-China version of Douyin. So you see what I mean? Keep going down the list. Does Snapchat have a dislike button? Pinterest? We know Reddit has upvotes and downvotes, and Twitter has design issues, but look at how small we're getting in terms of the hundreds of millions as opposed to getting into the billions of active users. So the largest platforms here start with Instagram. These largest or TikTok, I should say. Many of these largest platforms, pretty much all of them except for YouTube, don't have a dislike functionality of any sort. If the world was going to end without a dislike button, we would have already seen something like that, because so much of the largest social media the largest social media platforms out there don't have a dislike functionality. And now, the reason why I talked about the Empire versus the Aldmeri Dominion. What has been in the news regarding Facebook lately that has gotten people laughing at them? The rebranding of the parent company. The parent company is now called Meta. And I still don't see what's the meta with that. However, if YouTube stumbles like people think it's going to because of this dislike thing, what does that do to the social media landscape? Facebook, largest social media platform in the world, Meta umbrella. WhatsApp is owned by Meta. Instagram is owned by Meta. What are you going to do? Go to WeChat, which is used, I believe, in China? TikTok, again, internationally based out of, an international version of a Chinese, social media thing, Douyin, or something like that. So, but even now, I mean, you add together TikTok and Douyin, and it comes out to roughly the size of WeChat, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram. So you're getting into this territory if you combine those two businesses together. If YouTube collapses, the largest social media platforms are under the Meta umbrella. And all of them are kind of have crosstalk with each other. Instagram is expanding beyond pictures. And then there's Facebook. If Facebook gets it together with what they offer as an omni-media platform, YouTube's in trouble. There will be stiff competition there. Red versus blue. Used to be like I think it was an old cartoon series on the internet years and years ago. But it'll come back in terms of the showdown between Facebook and YouTube. Want to take this seriously yet? So YouTube really is YouTube is Google's presence here in an industry where Meta is peppering all of the top, whatever it is. It's peppering all the top slots. Meta Facebook, Meta WhatsApp, Meta Instagram. So a loss on Google's part cedes territory to Meta. And if you're upset about Facebook right now, you'd best be cheering YouTube on. If you're upset about Facebook and their persistent problems with protecting people's privacy, you'd best be cheering on YouTube. Because they're the lone, besides being the lone platform that still had a dislike button, they were the lone platform in this bunch that isn't under the Meta umbrella. Unless you want to go to WeChat. So this is the social media landscape, and this is what's going on here. And this is why I laugh at people that are like, oh, YouTube did something because of Twitch. YouTube's more likely to do something because of Facebook. Because Facebook is the force to be reckoned with. Actually, we should start viewing Facebook as the evil empire. Yeah, we really should. Facebook doesn't get enough credit because of its legacy service. You think of Facebook, you think of what you keep in touch with grandma on. You don't think of it as a potential competitor that eliminates the need for a YouTube, an Instagram, and a Twitter. A little bit of cannibalization of one Meta product to the other, although Instagram's kind of its own thing. The picture functionality of Facebook is not the same as Instagram. Instagram's kind of its own style and culture. And it's also has some restrictions as to like the height, width, things along those lines. But I think Meta would be more than happy to have people just shift from one of its products to another, as opposed to losing all that eyeball time and stuff like that to YouTube or WeChat or Douyin or Snapchat or whatever. Twitter, Reddit. Indeed. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about this YouTube dislike thing. That brings YouTube in line with many of these platforms that have heart buttons only. It's not the end of the world. And it's only upsetting to people who have been having a little too much fun with pestering people with this kind of stuff. I actually welcome the changes. Now, you really think about it, too. One of the things about trolling is that trolling is one of those things people do when it's easy. PewDiePie did an experiment with this years ago. He shut down the comments on his YouTube videos, and he basically made it to where you had to go to Twitter in order to talk about his videos. Not a lot of people made the went out of their way to click over to his Twitter. This is back when Twitter wasn't as mainstream as it is. Not a lot of people are going over to his Twitter in order to comment there, because it just became too much effort with all the extra clicks to bounce over to another platform, have to make an account, blah blah blah. But that's the thing here. So yeah, the dislike button is an anomaly. Massive portion of the social media world comfortably exists without it. And really, any arguments we can have about whether YouTube's in the right or the wrong here ignores what's going on across social media in general. The social media landscape and what we have coming down the pike with the rise of Facebook as this one-stop shop, essentially the Walmart of social media. And you know about, big box retail and what it did to smaller, more specialized stores and things like that. Think about it, though. You have a presence as a content creator on YouTube. You make videos on YouTube. You stream on Twitch. You post your pictures of yourself to Instagram. And you give your audience text updates on Twitter. That's 4 platforms. Facebook by itself covers all of those services and has a user base of 2 billion people poking around most of the time. It's like a massive, massive endemic user base. So massive, massive user base of people using the platform. So already, it's just that they have some rather dated design choices with the whole real names thing and the friends list and stuff. If Facebook was ever revamped to be closer to something like YouTube or Twitter and allow like usernames and stuff, especially if they did that with Facebook streaming, so you could watch a Facebook gaming stream and not have a situation where some weirdo in chat mouses over you and gets your hometown and where you work, or they picture search you by searching for your name and matching up your profile picture so they know which one is you, and hopefully you're not leaking information there either. So it's just, yeah, Facebook is the real platform to keep an eye on, and that's the real thing to be talking about, not YouTube. Let's deal with the Asmongold thing. One last thing regarding Asmongold and the stuff that he was talking about and how he basically took the other side in this matter. And he's like, oh, yeah, changing up all this YouTube stuff. Let me just tell you something about Asmongold. Asmongold is a persona. He's a persona. He's probably not really like that in real life. And if he is, it's not as interesting. I think he's hamming things up for entertainment value. You ever notice how Asmongold goes on about being a professional neckbeard? And there's a certain kind of personality type that he's going after, with someone who sits in his attic playing video games all day and being crude and brusque and rough around the edges. Yeah, that's an act. The angry video game nerd at least admits that what he's doing is a fictional character that he's acting, and James is just playing a character there. What we have with Asmongold is a persona, a hammed up version of his personality for the cameras. But he keeps slipping. Asmongold is, professional neckbeard. We pretty much have this construct in our head as to what he would be like as somebody who spends too much time playing video games all day long. We have this idea of what he's like, but you notice how eloquent he gets when he starts talking about philosophical stuff in his Asmongold TV videos. Like when he talked about removing the dislike counts. So you're telling me a guy that is rough around the edges, professional neckbeard and whatnot, can suddenly get all eloquent and philosophical therein the Asmon layer or something? No. That's the slip. That's the real Zach breaking through there. Because let me tell you something. If Asmongold was the kind of person he portrays himself as for real, he would have more bans on Twitch than Indie Fox, and he probably would have been booted from the platform by now. You think about it. Somebody who's rough around the edges, flaps their mouth too much, says stuff that lands them with their foot in their mouth later, and is just a kind of professional neckbeard type whatever. Somebody who's like that, how are they on earth would they in any way be a successful streamer with with a massive audience like what Asmongold has? How would they even pull that off? Their own mental state as that kind of person would sabotage them. No. There's a whole side to Zach that the world doesn't see because the camera, he's like that when the cameras aren't rolling. I mean, the guy obviously had to learn a few things, but it's not like a total rags to riches story with the guy. Sometimes the way he acts on stream, I seriously have to wonder if he has like an in-ear thing and some producers telling him, nope, do this. And someone's waiting, we're just waiting for someone or for him to slip, more likely, and expose that it's like a Lonely Girl 15 thing. This dude playing video games in his room, it's actually a production of sorts. Just like, the girl vlogging in her room was actually a production and, the girl was an actress. Well, I don't think we're talking about an actor here. We're talking about a persona. Somebody who hams up their personality like to entertain guests or something. Only we're talking guests on the internet. But the sad part is the people who take him seriously, they think he's on their side. But the truth of the matter is, I mean, he will be like, neckbeard 1 minute and then borderline wokester the next minute. He's not consistent, except in getting crowds worked up. Let me take a look at some of what he said here with this tweet. YouTube removing dislikes. Wrong. Dislikes are not being removed. Not only censors dissent from corporate propaganda and brand agendas, it also protects predators and abusers from accountability of their audience, making new victims easier to find. That's quite a stretch. In the effort to make users safe, YouTube has done the opposite. Let me tell you something about one of the things that has been brought up here. The abusive people and predators thing. I've actually seen somebody like that get deplatformed. Not going to publicize the guy because he's a total piece of trash and doesn't deserve any more publicity. Not that he's going to ever surface on, online media again. He'll be really old by the time he gets out of jail because he wound up getting thrown in jail for some of the stuff he was doing. This was a guy who could have had a very nice middle age and old age. Could have sat back, relaxed, and never had to worry about money ever again. He was working on like a tinkering channel. Tinkering with appliances, cars, the whole 9 yards. He could have been fine. He had lots of subscribers. He was able to be a full-time YouTuber. He was at the point where the redneck stuff that he was doing, so to speak, was self-funded by the ad revenue alone. No need for sponsors, no need for any of the stuff that people are doing nowadays as content creators with, brands like, brand deals and other sponsors and stuff like that. No need for any of that. Just off of the YouTube partner program alone and being a cheapskate, the guy was perfectly fine and he could have had plenty of money. But he had to let his past, he had to use his platform to try and, do weird stuff to people who told him to stop. He had to do all this he would have been set indeed. But he decided, he had to use his channel to infringe on the privacy of others and go after some of the people that he thought wronged him. And it all backfired on him. It all fell apart. The police were involved. There was even mainstream media attention. And his channel was terminated. It all fell apart for this guy. He could have been fine. He would have had a wonderful retirement. Just being your crazy old uncle working on, cars or something, or working on appliances, or, making fun YouTube videos. Could have just had a great retirement, but no, had to ruin it all. Now he's doing hard time. So this is the kind of person that Asmongold Gold doesn't want to acknowledge exists, because people found out about this guy's past, and they organized to get the truth out about this guy. And he could have just been, he could have turned over a new leaf and just been, having fun on YouTube for the rest of his life. Nope. Had to ruin it all. Had to completely ruin it all, do things that he shouldn't, and it all fell apart. And if he ever did try to come back to YouTube on a secret channel, it'd probably be extremely old by then. So don't know if he'd have the energy to even do what he used to do. But Not going to publicize the guy. Some people can dig around and find out who it is. Or was, I should say. I don't feel like publicizing the guy. I mean, it's just a total piece of trash. But he wound up deplatformed. He wound up deplatformed. He wound up, everything fell apart, and he has nothing now. And not even his freedom. Could have been fine. Could have retired. Could have had a blast. Blew it all. In the name of what? Some petty sense of justice? So, no. But one of the things that people talk about with all this is this whole thing with, oh, companies, they're going to, they want to force their propaganda. It's advertising. Get over it. Companies have other ways. Companies don't need likes and dislikes to gauge what people think of products and services. And if somebody screws up and they release something bad and it doesn't do well, that's a lot of money that gets sunk on something. Do you really think any intelligent corporate bosses would want that to happen? It's crazy. You ever get in an argument with somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, but they keep talking as much as they can to try and stay in the argument, even though they've made themselves look like a complete idiot? That's what a lot of the people chiming in on this dislike thing are. They're giving away that they don't have a clue what they're talking about, that they're just repeating what somebody else told them, that they're just repeating something they saw on the internet mindlessly without even trying to learn about it or get to part 2 of the story. They're giving away they don't know anything about how YouTube works. And they're giving away that they support people being able to be abusive to others on YouTube by misusing YouTube systems, which YouTube, you can dig around and find, is trying to establish a whole new context for things like the like and dislike buttons. It's not hard. Know your way around Twitter. Know your way around advanced search. Be nosy enough to keep an eye on the right conversations, and you can learn this too for yourself. But, now, that's what Dunning-Kruger is all about. Back to what we talked about with the 9-to-5ers screwing up. The Dunning-Kruger effect is about people trying to pass themselves off as knowing more about something than they do, being more knowledgeable about something than they actually are, puffing themselves up even though anybody who actually knows what they're talking about can shut them down in no time flat. Let's go to the YouTube liaison. YouTube liaison. Matt Koval, there he is. Let me check out his tweets from some of the things people are saying, because I actually challenge him and I challenge Asmongold with the Statista numbers. Guarantee you Asmongold won't give a darn. This was about drumming up hype for his channel and what he does. And you could see that because Asmongold exited the discussion without barely defending any of his points. It was just a publicity stunt. Let's see here. Let's see. What about the massive creators? The dislike count was there to keep them in check when they made a video that everyone disliked. Now they can hide their bad moves. Excuse me? Why would something that you can't take, these people and folks who should know something about how video works and how the internet works and how YouTube works, should be able to tell these large creators that the dislike buttons don't necessarily mean that someone has a problem with you, as we looked at earlier. With YouTube Music, the dislike button is being used to tune the algorithm's recommendations for what to show you and what to play in your playlists. So this is basically algorithm food. And to be fair, likes are exactly the same way. So maybe we should get rid of the likes count next too. And just, well, how would I know if a video is good or not? Where are these scam tutorial videos with a bazillion dislikes that are topping the search results so that I can find them very easily? Because I've been searching for how to do this, how to do that on YouTube. I've been trying to find out what any of these people are talking about, whether it's related to fixing computers, fixing cars, fixing stuff around the house. You know what? Right now, stuff's falling over here. Yeah, short cords. Well, you don't know, this is a short cord. For those who aren't familiar with my channel, I use these to keep those big blocks from taking up multiple spots on a power strip. Little tiny, like 6-inch cord thingy. And it's great for keeping AC adapters from taking up like 2 or 3 plugs on a power strip. So, or you know, rechargeable battery chargers, things along those lines. So here we are right on stream. Since one of the people flipping out on YouTube's Twitter is going to, why don't we just do that? Since one of the people, let's mute the tab so I don't want some pop-up ad playing or something. How to fix my toilet. One of the people was like, oh, what if I have video, lots of down blah 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 stuff, like lots of downvotes. Where are these scam tutorials? Where are all the scam tutorials? So you guys, link that back up to Firefox, please. How to fix my toilet. Here's the top of the results. DIY toilet repair. How to fix a running toilet guaranteed. 2.5 million views. 2 years ago, bam, 55,000 likes to 1,000 dislikes. I feel sorry for my front page because it's going to have toilet videos all over the place now. But hey, for science. Yeah. Homeowner series, 2.4 million views. The Home Depot. How to fix a leaky toilet. C. Jane Drill, 340,000 views. Don't know this person, so let's check the ratio on this one too. 5.4K to 104 dislikes. Let's see. Fluid Master DIY Crash with 206,000 views. 6.5K versus 90. How to fix it, Flushing. Where are these scam This Old House, 98,000 views. Where are these scam tutorials out there? Where the heck are they? Are these people deliberately searching way down below? Are these people deliberately searching way down below the top of the search results to find these problem categories? Where the heck is that? Where is this stuff? Now, the last time I had someone give me an example of this, they were searching for how to download Minecraft for free. Now, if you're searching for that, see, how to download Minecraft full version for free on PC 2021. The tab's still muted. I just want to see what the ratio is. $2,000 versus 151. Now, if you're looking for stuff like, oh, how do I get computer programs for free? Of course, you're going to get sketchy stuff in the results. But here I am, looking for that thing that somebody's like, hey, here's how you do that. I mean, I really, really have to dig in order to find whatever these wherever the heck these scam tutorials are with all the dislikes. How about computer videos? Something I would know is how to get free money. Oh, okay, let's go look at this. How to get free money. See, Wholesale Ted, 1.7 million views is result numero uno. 90 grand likes versus 1,900 dislikes. So where is this whole ratio? Ratio? Where is all of that? If you're watching like the 200th video that is complete garbage at the bottom of the search results that has like 100 views and a bazillion dislikes, then you really have to dig for this. Let me look for some computer things too. How to put thermal paste on CPU. All right. Let's see. Tech illiterate, 300 grand. 728 grand, 18,000 views. How to apply thermal paste. Of course, they put a little smiley on there for the thumbnail. Comparing thermal paste methods. Do you even need thermal paste? how to remove thermal paste from a CPU. I mean, this is all stuff with thousands of views or millions of views. So if people are playing the algorithm and creating clickbait scam videos, where are they? Where are they? This is exactly the sort of thing YouTube's constantly working on, is promoting trusted blah blah creators or whatnot. So, I mean, you can search for all kinds of stuff. The one I searched for last night was how to fix a distributor, how to fix distributor in car. And let's see, Auto Trader ad is result number 1. But now, things have changed. Now I have Scotty Kilmer at the top of the results with 775 grand. Scotty Kilmer, guy, he'll wear sunglasses indoors just like I will. He's a car guy. Been a mechanic for years and years and years. Does all kinds of car videos. And this was 10 years ago. How to rebuild a distributor, 48 grand 3 years ago, etc. So, yeah, I really got to wonder. I want to see some of these people give me examples of scam videos that supposedly are out there. Because I'm on the video with only 48,000 views, and the ratio is 590 to 296. So this thing about, it's absolutely terrible for people because it's gonna, let scammers climb the ranks. And so, well, where? Especially when we know the dislike button's not going away. It's just that the count isn't visible. So, okay. I saved so much time looking for tech videos because I didn't watch crap videos because of the ratio. What tech videos were you watching? How much digging did you do looking for bad tech videos? And did you bias the algorithms because you went looking for bad tech videos so you could complain about it on the internet? I want to see some examples from some of these people screeching on the internet. I'll bet many of them don't have any. They're just repeating what someone else told them. And if you press them for examples of these videos, they're gonna argue with you. They're gonna yell at you. They're gonna talk around in circles. They're gonna try and weasel their way out of it. They're not gonna actually give you any videos because they don't have any in the first place. How to fix distributor in car. Here's some more results from that, by the way. Holly, and there was one from Jegs in here too. Holly and Car and Driver. I saw one from Jegs earlier too, which these are performance parts folks that do aftermarket car parts that did stuff for the Roadkill show that I used to watch before Motor Trend took it off to Motor Trend on Demand. But where are the scam tutorial videos? Unless you're searching for sketchy stuff, where are they? So I'll bet they don't exist for many of these people. They're just repeating what someone else told them. And it's just a giant copy pasta fight. But we see the beat of the drum that YouTube is constantly saying is, it's about tuning your recommendations. I'm looking at Matt Koval's tweets again. The dislikes of other videos still are factored in for your own recommendations. You can see dislikes that you received on your videos in analytics. It's not about the teams realize there's some sacrifice in the dislikes that are often legitimately made. It was all debated internally for months. You kind of see more of the complexity when you can see the full picture. Get rid of it altogether. A thoughtful and insightful comment explaining whether the viewer disliked is much more effective for all parties. If you really dislike the video, tell the world why with constructive criticism. That's possible, but it also takes more effort. It could be a chance for them to articulate their dislike. But it's a lazy way of saying, haha, I'm going to mess with this video. Fundamentally. People can use it. People can weaponize it. People can be a jackass with it. And any platform that makes anything like this is going to have this problem. As I saw with the Morrowind Summit and the people messing with the Morrowind Summit back in the day. So 20 years later, it's suddenly this giant fight over YouTube deciding to private the dislike counts. Could the same be said for getting rid of the like button too? Or are you already saying both of them should be getting rid of them altogether? But I mean, if they're algorithm buttons, that's really what it should be at this point. Because if YouTube is really working on the algorithms overriding what people think or people's ability to game systems, then yeah, we should be looking for the likes to go away in terms of their public visibilities as well. I don't know if we'll see something like on Daily Motion where only a heart button was left and the comments are gone, but I really think a lot of people who are making a big stink about this on the internet, they're giving away how little they actually know and really making themselves look bad. And it's particularly bad when I see tech video people doing this. There's a couple of folks that I was subscribed to for years that I have since had I've had nothing to do with anymore. Unsubbed, gone. Told the system not to show me their videos anymore. Because, I mean, how can you be any kind of tech person without caring about this stuff? You know, you have a computer channel and whatnot, and you pass yourself off as a tech guru, and you love technology. Why then are you acting exactly like the people that hate technology, who always knee-jerk hate everything new that comes down the pike? Why are you doing that? Tech people are supposed to be positive towards this kind of stuff and embrace it and be early adopters of it and know early on, before anybody else, they can articulate to the other people why these are such good ideas. So, I mean, when you are supposedly an expert, when you pass yourself off as an expert in technology, and you suddenly get caught up in this hysteria, you're changing sides. You're not on the side of rational, level-headed thought anymore. You're on the side of jacked emotions and misinformation. It's that simple. That's what the war is with this kind of stuff, whether it's with this, whether it's with COVID vaccines, whether it's with political stuff or anything. It's about who's level-headed versus who's cranking your emotions to 11. Who's causing these problems? You're changing sides. So disappointing that even people I've been subbed to for years have outed that they don't really care about the technology behind YouTube. They love their computers, but they don't really care about the platform that lets them make videos about their computers. They don't follow this stuff. Or they spread misinformation directly on like Twitter or something by tweeting their own anecdotal, emotion-driven drivel, when YouTube actually has transparency channels like Creator Insider that actually talk about how things work. There is no more guessing or anecdotal stuff or anything. We can go and get things directly from YouTube these days in terms of how they do stuff. It's sad. But so is this whole thing about the dislike thing. It's sad that people are making uproar about this. But hey, some people are just sad. Or, excuse me, some people are just in an uproar that a way they had to be, antagonistic to others is being taken away. But hey, again, if you watch where social media has been going, many of the big platforms out there don't have a dislike button anymore, or they never had one. It's hearts only. Because eliminating the ability to harass others via quick and easy ways and making people put effort into it causes quite a few people to not do it anymore. So if you have someone who's enraged by your video and they leave a ferocious comment, including if it's caught by, the auto mod that YouTube has nowadays, and you read it under, comments awaiting review, that person at least really, really believes what they believe, and it's not just like, I'm going along with the crowd. So, anyways, between this and every other discussion we've had earlier on this, I think this topic has been done and done and done. And I don't care if there's a whole nother argument on Twitter after I do this. I think I've about had enough of talking about this stuff. Bottom line, no, I give YouTube a thumbs up. Excuse me. Maybe I shouldn't, because they might target the likes thing next. But I think the biggest thing that YouTube needs to do with this whole changing their website thing, or changing the platform, or likes, dislikes, blah, 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 I think the big thing that YouTube needs to do with this is they need to address people taking technical issues personally, as well as the misinformation about their own products and services. Now, YouTube's been going in the direction of transparency. They have channels like YouTube Creators and Creator Insider nowadays that they didn't used to have before. They have all this cool stuff available, but this just shows how they actually need more of it, because people are still trying to connect dots that aren't there, or they're trying to come up with explanations for things when YouTube already has official explanations that didn't exist 5 years ago. So when I see people giving anecdotal advice or whatnot, when there's a creator insider video that says something different, they're spreading misinformation. And just so YouTube's own communications with their own user base need to improve big time, especially if they're making major changes. Like, for example, if the like and dislike system, which in the days of livevideo.com in the 2000s could actually get your video punished in the algorithm, if those days are coming to an end and it's about you talking to the algorithm to tune your recommendations, if the algorithm finds videos for viewers and not viewers for videos, there needs to be more transparency that these buttons are not for, throwing around your opinions about other creators. It's about talking to the computer to determine what it has you watch. So, and some people may be like, well, we want a democracy, we want to vote and stuff like that. It's YouTube's platform, and quite frankly, if people are allowed to vote on stuff, it'll be about as accurate as most highly inaccurate internet polls out there. Sorry. I mean, you can get bots to vote, you can get people to go, as we see, you can get people to be bobbleheads, you can get people to do all kinds of stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's true or the right thing to do. There's a logical fallacy for this too, by the way. Argumentum ad populum. See how many people in the Asmongold crowd even know what that means. So yeah, I've had enough of this nonsense over dislikes. Whatever YouTube does, let them do it. And let the rest of us get back to making videos and streaming, because we can all stop our channels and complain about this until it all happens, or we can actually make stuff that, people are like, yeah, and actually like. And then, of course, if people are liking stuff because you're making good stuff, the whole idea of whether or not the dislike button does this, that, or the other really becomes irrelevant rather quickly, don't you think? Yeah. TGIF, ladies and gentlemen. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.